So fortunately, a couple of things have fallen into place that, while they themselves aren't necessarily panning out to anything right now, they've gotten me back in the mood to make some videos, and I am trying to capitalize on that momentum. So if you saw that 24-105 video, you'll also know that I talked about opening up my expenses and being able to fit a gimbal into my budget. And I didn't just get a gimbal because I had the money to get a gimbal. I got a gimbal because, I'm saying gimbal a lot. I got it because of the fact that I'm starting to get a little bit more opportunity to do some car-related content. At the time of making this video, I'm still not getting to drive many cars, but at least I'm getting involved in sort of being an understudy to car photographers and videographers. And so I'm getting the chance, even if my footage is not being used, to kind of toy around with the whole process of doing that stuff. And so I thought a gimbal would be an awesome opportunity for me to expand my challenges. Now, in my A7S III video, I mentioned as well that sometimes getting equipment that you're not ready for isn't necessarily a good idea, but sometimes if you're in the mentality of it being exciting to you to the point where it challenges you to learn more, then by all means do it. Equipment, they say, you know, equipment doesn't matter when it comes to filming or whatever. Equipment sometimes does matter. It depends. It's all in the context. Anyway, moral of the story is I got the DJI Ronin RS3 Pro. Because of said opportunity, I've been spending a lot of time with it and just been like using it to the farthest extent, even going as far as to use it to make typical shots a bit more cumbersome for me, just to explore the limits and the boundaries and what it's capable of and which areas I might not necessarily need to use a gimbal. And so among all of the stuff I've been learning over the past several hours, and I mean, like, I've gone through already one full battery drain of the gimbal's battery, which is about 12 hours. So I've just been nonstop using the gimbal. It has not left my hands so long as I've been filming. And I'm very, very sore, which is one of the points we're going to talk about. But I wanted to dedicate this video to talking about a couple of wisdoms that I have gained in using the gimbal so much, and I wanted to share them with you if maybe this is your first time using a gimbal, or maybe you've been using a gimbal for a while and some of these things are starting to weigh on your mind as well. So the first point is gimbals will make you worse before they make you better at filmmaking. One of the biggest mistakes that I made that led to a lot of frustration the first time I went out with it, which was 2 days ago at the time of making this video, is I got super frustrated that it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, i.e., it wasn't making my footage look the way I've seen other people's footage look. And just by saying that, it should be obvious that, yeah, like, people make their footage look a certain way because of skill and experience and practice. The same thing goes with a gimbal. The thing that the way I sort of described it to my friend that was sort of filming alongside me, who has way more experience than me, the gimbal has a brain and I need to learn how it thinks. The gimbal is designed with a certain level of intelligence to do certain things according to what you want to accomplish. But in order to do that, you need to understand what the gimbal is capable of doing. And so the gimbal is not just an extension of your body or mind. You have to learn how it thinks, and then you have to coordinate with it to be able to do what you want to do. So point number one, you're going to get worse before you get better. You're going to learn how to use it before you start to understand how to manipulate its action and thinking to get what you want to get. And that leads me to the second point. By using it over a period of time, you're going to get better and better, and you're going to develop stability with it. You're going to develop stamina. Everyone always talks about how heavy these things are, and fortunately the Ronin RS3 Pro isn't as heavy as other gimbals, but it's still heavy. And I've got an A7S III on it with a 24-105 lens. It's not easy to carry around, especially when you're not just carrying it. You're holding it in odd positions. I'm reminded of Larry Cosilla from MONYC, who is an amazing, just master car detailer, and he's mentioned issues he's had with his knees and with his back, and over time he's learned how to use machinery that he uses instead of holding it far out. For example, he'll use close to the body, changing your center of mass. While you can't always do that with a gimbal, you need to get certain shots. What you will start to realize is that just like any other sport, gymnastics, football, martial arts, skateboarding, anything that you do that requires activity, you're going to develop stabilizer muscles. You're going to develop muscles that you don't normally use, even if you work out, even if you do calisthenics. There are going to be certain muscle groups that aren't normally triggered until you do a certain action. This is one of those things. As you do it more and more, you're going to start utilizing those muscles more and more. And it's funny because I've been using the gimbal for the past couple of days continuously. And I yesterday learned a couple of techniques that I'm going to talk about, or have talked about, in a video that I already posted, hopefully if I'm on schedule. And I felt different using it before even starting to use it. And now today, waking up, when I think about using it, I already feel different in myself about how I'm going to feel picking it up. Because it's this steep learning curve. Like, if you use it, consciously and deliberately, you're going to feel certain movements and you're going to get sore. I'm a little bit sore because I don't do this. This is the first time I've ever used the gimbal. But now that I'm using it, I'm beginning to build a little bit of stamina, and it's going to take even more and more time of using it over and over again to get to that point. So point number 2, if you keep using it deliberately, consciously, and with an intention, you will develop stamina, which leads me to point number 3. Make sure you protect yourself in terms of the positioning. Keep an eye on your back. Make sure that this is sounding crazy, make sure that you stay mobile. Make sure that you take care of your body, take care of your joints, take care of your muscles. This is a heavy piece of equipment and you're holding it in odd positions. You have to make sure, especially with your back, because those of you who have back issues, those of you who have had herniated discs, you will know how difficult it is to deal with that stuff. So make sure you protect your posture, make sure you protect your back. And lastly, at least for what I can think of right now, learn how to walk. How you walk with a gimbal is going to determine how smooth the shots are. And when you use the gimbal, if you notice that there are certain odd movements, or if you notice that the speed is increasing and decreasing in terms of the fluidity of movement, keep in mind that the way you're walking might actually influence that. There's a reason why walking relatively heel to toe, you don't have to go directly heel to toe, but there's a speed difference when you're standing on one foot versus when you're actually transferring weight to the other foot. I'll show you here what it can look like when you're walking with slow steps and long steps versus when you're walking slow, steady steps and they're closer together. Okay, so what we're going to be testing right now and showing an example of is how to walk with this thing. What I was trying to do by taking slow, long steps, in my mind was thinking, if I take slow, long steps, then by taking less physical steps, I'll introduce less motion and less judder into the step. What I didn't realize is that when hovering slowly on one foot and then going to the next, that step to the next step actually is a faster motion than just hovering. So I'll demonstrate that, and then I'll demonstrate why that creeping motion actually works better. Here's the slow, long steps. And you'll see that with each step, it actually speeds up and slows down. And now here's the attempt to get that same shot, but with that creeping motion. Now granted, I'm not great at it, but you'll see there's a difference. So there you have it. There's the benefit of having that weird creeping motion. It helps you balance your weight and it keeps your body weight continuously moving rather than speeding up and slowing down and speeding up and slowing down. You can see that there's a difference in the way the speed varies. Keep that in mind and keep all of these things in mind. These are the things that I have experienced so far that I realize I'm going to have to be conscious about every time I use this until it's second nature. And it might be something that if you haven't used the gimbal in a while, you need to go back to and remind yourself of. I'm just learning, but this is sort of me talking about my experiences, and maybe these are experiences that you've had and hopefully they've helped. If they have helped, let me know in the comments below. And that's it. I'll see you next time, whenever that is.